So as I mentioned, planning for me started back in October. And a lot of that has to do with 2020 has, as I've already said, as you already know, 2020 was quite the year for a lot of self-reflection and self-discovery. And so one of the things that I learned about myself was I need a lot more time than just a few days or a week or so before something, quote, new, to establish and really dig deep into what I really want, what I really don't want, and then developing plans as to how I go about getting those things. So in October, I did this initial kind of brainstorming, and all it is looking at the different areas I came up with that are part of my everyday life. You see here, core desired feelings. That comes from Danielle Laporte's desire map process, and I will link that below. Core desired feelings. So I sat and went through that process, came up with how I wanted to feel in the next year. Then through some therapy that I was taking, I discovered what my core values were. And so I wanted to make sure that those went with me into the new year. And so I have them listed here. Traits that I wanted to either develop or show more of. Then my physical body. What did I want to look like at the end of 2021? My mental being. What did I want to be? Spiritually, financially, and of course, business, relationships, and then my environment. What did I want my space to look like? Where did I want to live? I put that in here as well. So this was my first step where I just went through, kind of brainstormed out the different areas of my life and what I wanted them to look like this time next year. Then later on in the month, after I sat with my initial brainstorming for a little bit, I did a couple of exercises where I looked to determine what are some of the routines, some of the tasks that I need to do on a regular basis that would help me achieve any one of those goals. I have what I call my money date routine, which is basically every payday where I sit down and I pay bills, check all my balances, and make sure I'm on track with whatever my financial goals are. I also have what I call the body love routine, and that's basically where I figure out how to fit in exercise into my schedule. As I mentioned, that quarantine 115 is not sitting well on my body, and I'm also 53 years old. I don't want to die of something I could have prevented. And most doctors would agree, I would imagine, that the more you move, the better you eat, the better quality of life you're going to have as you get older. Because I certainly can't stop that clock from turning, but I certainly can make my aging process a little less painful, a little less onerous. And again, as we moved through October into November, I continued to brainstorm. I wanted to get as much information from my self-reflection down on paper as I could, because all of that was going to go into helping me make better decisions when it came to what my true goals were and what steps I was going to take to reach them. Here you'll see some of that color coding. Believe me, it gets more involved than that. From there, I began to break down steps and categorize them. What you see here is that color code where I identified which main goal or area these steps belonged in. I looked at whether they were to be done daily, weekly, or monthly. So you have that coding going down the sides here. And then finally in December, I gained, in December, I was able to really drill down and clarify what my main areas of life were going to be. Several of those goals fit into one single category. So what I have here is health, finance, and business. Health breaks down into mental, emotional or spiritual, and physical. And again, within each one of those, I narrowed down all that work that I showed you before and came up with what my goals were, what my core desired feelings were in each one of those areas. I have here where I've color-coded the difference between a push goal, which is one that you feel forced or compelled by outside forces to complete, and a pull goal, which is one that you're drawn to, that internally you are driven to complete that goal. And so you'll see the color coding here. Same in finance and business, and these arrows just indicate that they are related. Things that I do in my business will help me with my financial goals. And of course, I need financial goals to help fund my business. And so from that session, I came down to my goals and brainstorming particular steps that I'll need to take, that I want to take to reach each one. I drilled down even further. So let's look at this one. For example, I want to read more in 2021. I used to be an avid reader, but again, these last 6 years, if I've picked up a book a year, that would be interesting. But what I have is I want to read one book a month, right? So in the initial brainstorming, I have just some basic ideas, but now I need to break that down. What does that really mean? What all do I need to do in order to get those books, right? So I need to renew my library card. I need to charge my Kindle every so many days to make sure that it's up and running, ready to go. I need to revisit my Goodreads page to start looking for reviews and recommendations, because I'm quite out of touch with a lot of the authors that I like, and I need to find out what they have available. I need to set time in my schedule to actually sit down and read, keep my Kindle by my bedside, and then definitely make it a routine to check out or download books on a regular basis. And so that's what I did for each one of my goals. All of that work from October to now has culminated in this spread in my bullet journal. It looks like a ginormous habit tracker, but it is that, and it is more. It is also for me to record when did I last do this activity, so I know if I'm on track to meet my goal. My routines are in black, and so I have my morning routine, my evening routine, all the steps involved in that. And then in the middle, I have those daily, weekly, or monthly tasks that will help me reach my goals as I identified them in that initial brainstorming system. So that's it. That is the life planning portion of my system. So far, I'm really pleased with it. I'm excited to implement a lot of these tasks and routines and things with the new year. I've been practicing a few of them since I did come up with all of this relatively early, considering. So I've been practicing some of them throughout December, and so far I think I'm going to do a much better job reaching my goals in 2021 than I have in the last 6 years. So anyway, hope you found this interesting and informative. Hope it gave you some tips and tricks and ideas to use going forward as you plot and plan for 2021. I will be back tomorrow with then the business side of things, and then I'll wrap up with the writing plan that I have. In the meantime, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you back here tomorrow.